Here we go. Last developer call of the year. We actually did not forget to kick this one off. We have a couple of agenda items, which are mostly announcements, so or various other forms of. They're mostly announcements. And I'm just going to kick it off with passing it off to Ben, who has the first couple of announcements.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. So the three I'm going to cover are GNUCon 2017 and IEEE DICE-Band related stuff. So on the GNUCon side, pretty much the number one ask and contender in terms of host city is San Diego. We've reached out to a few places in San Diego to inquire about venues. If anybody who is located in San Diego is interested in getting involved, please let us know. And if it doesn't work out, we have a few fallbacks that we know we can be successful with. So no huge announcements there. Mostly a call for help if you're interested or happen to be located in San Diego. On the DICE-Band side, so DICE-Band this year is March. IEEE DICE-Band which stands for the Symposium on Dynamic Spectrum Access Networks. It's a long-standing IEEE conference. It's from March 6th to 9th in Baltimore, Maryland. So two GNU Radio related things. I'm actually going to share my screen real quick. So that's not going to work. Well, maybe it will. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Martin, can you tell me if you can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So GNU Radio is going to have a presence in the DICE-Band program this year. So we already have one thing confirmed on the program, which is a half-day tutorial from Nathan and Tim. Actually, Tim, you're on the call. Do you want to hop in and say anything about it?
My audio quality is probably pretty terrible. I think they've posted a schedule for the tutorial that we're going to cover up on the DICE-Band site if anyone's interested. But we're trying to make it a pretty wide-ranging overview and tutorial intro to kind of the whole system.
Yeah, so that'll be a half-day tutorial, and it actually is immediately after the DARPA Battle of the Mod Recs, which is short for Modulation Recognition. So the goal of this particular challenge, which is being organized by Tom Rondeau and Paul Tillman. Paul is the DARPA PM who is running the Spectrum Grant Challenge. He also presented on that at GNUCon. The goal of the Battle of the Mod Recs is to play with modulation recognition and really technologies I think that are usually think of as spectrum monitoring technologies, things like detection and estimation and classification, those sorts of things. So based on the write-up they have here on the DICE-Band website, it sounds like there's going to be unintentional transmitters, obviously, but they may also have some intentional ones. And the challenge will be to hack on ways to identify and classify what's out there. So that'll take place on March 6th as part of DICE-Band. And we have a few other conference-related announcements. So with that, I'm actually going to hand it back to Martin.
Yeah. So there's two more announcements regarding conferences. The first is, and they're kind of related. So this is FOSDEM and another DARPA thing, which is the SDR Hackfest 2017. The reason they're related is because they're both in Brussels and they're both in the same week. So February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is the FOSDEM the DARPA SDR Hackfest, and then Saturday and Sunday, the 4th and the 5th, is FOSDEM in ULB, and that's both in Brussels. Now the Hackfest is something that Tom Rondeau put together as a DARPA thing, and it's officially called the SDR Hackfest Brussels or something like that, and has a very open agenda. There is a required registration. There's actually a registration fee of $50. I think $50 is probably going to dwarf any cost you have getting there. This is sort of mostly for bookkeeping and things like that. So in all likelihood, this will be a very similar Hackfest to other Hackfests, depending on who's coming. But as I said, it's very open, and there's an open agenda. And there's sort of a motto to this, which is sort of getting experts in RF and SDR together to think about how to solve spectrum sharing challenges and something like that. Then FOSDEM, of course, is the annual Free and Open Software Developers European meeting. It's always in the same place in ULB in Brussels. And there's always an SDR track for the last 4 years, so the last 3 years, and then next year. So this will be the 4th time we're doing this. The call for participation is actually not over. It's actually tomorrow, but it's filling up. I actually haven't checked the status right now, but it's pretty full now. But there is still opportunity to submit talks. And I would strongly encourage people to do so. It's an excellent platform to get your stuff out. There's no academic overhead, no requirement to publish a paper. Actually, as a matter of fact, if you have published a paper and you would like a different kind of audience, who's actually interested in SDR, to listen to what you're doing, this is an excellent opportunity to go and show off your stuff. And we have a really, really cool lineup already. Like, even if no one else signs up anymore, we already have a very good mix of like academic stuff, just cool hacks, wireless security, telecoms, and FOSDEM talks are always recorded and then preserved for the afterlife. So that's another nice bonus, and it's just an excellent opportunity to present your stuff to an audience that is very open source interest. And then, of course, you get to go to FOSDEM, which is a huge conference and has many, many different tracks and talks for all kinds of open source related topics, like from legal and community issues to specific technical dev rooms, not just the SDR one, but for example, things that might interest people in this group is an EDA track, embedded tracks, and software-defined networks and things like that. So I would strongly suggest going there. It's free. You don't have to register anything. You just have to show up. And if you want to give a talk, you just have to let us know until tomorrow. Okay, that's it on the announcement side. And we have, as usual, as we've had the last couple of years, sort of an end-of-year presentation going on. And for that, I will actually need to share my own screen. Screen share. So if I click present now, does this come through? Can someone confirm this?
Yep, it came through.
Okay, perfect. Actually, I might have to enable myself permanently here. Okay.
Yeah, I think you need to, if you can fix the screen. Wow, that's
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looked like on your end. Okay, so here we go. We have our typical presentation, and I will actually make these slides available for perusal afterwards. This is just sort of a stats end of the year thing, and we've always done this the last couple of years. So, oh, wait a minute, what the hell? I want to go to slide 2. Okay. I think the biggest new thing is one of the major changes, and I think one of the best signs that GNU Radio is doing very well as a project is the whole new org structure and the foundation. So this was announced several times, among others at GNUCon, where Ben gave an entire presentation on this subject. So if you want to know more, I would suggest actually looking that up. But just to sort of give you the gist of it, Tom Rondo stepped down as the leader for the GNU Radio project as he went into new opportunities. For example, he's now working for DARPA, and one of the things he's doing now is the DARPA Hackfest. So he's still very much around, but he's not leading the GNU Radio project anymore. That is now done by Ben and Jonathan, Ben being the sort of the project lead, and Jonathan, the technical lead, the chief architect. And we have a bunch of other roles filled by various people, and I don't want to list them all out. One thing that is definitely true is the fact that we always need more help, and we are very happy about people who want to, fill all kinds of roles. And that's not just writing DSP code, but actually that's probably the one thing that we have very well covered. It's things like helping with the website and the wiki and stuff like that. So, but not only did we reorganize the GNU Radio organization and sort of formalize this and have a new leadership, we also have an actual foundation. So that's something that is new and that is becoming more, I think next year will really take off and become more useful. And so we, for example, have an entity now which is able to handle money, which is something in the past, I know we haven't sort of advertised this, but like individual people use their private bank accounts to sort of support the GNU Radio project. And while that's very noble and we couldn't have, the project wouldn't have survived otherwise, that's really not optimal. That's something we sort of fixed now. So I'm really, really happy about this change, even though it's not technical, but it's really something that the project itself needed. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, but let's talk about technical stuff. So this is I've had this slide up all the time. Number of commits, 502 commits since January 1st, excluding merge commits. You can see it's down quite a bit from 725 last year. I have some comments on why it went down, and you'll see other numbers have also gone down. For example, unique committers, 53 versus 65. First commit of 2016 was Tom Rondo. It was actually on January 6th, so that's very late. I don't know what we were doing there. I always point out top 5 committers, and the top 5 committers list is always interesting for various reasons. So for example, last year we had 2 GSOC students in the top 5 list, which I thought was interesting. And I think this year's list is a good mix. So you'd expect Tom and Jonathan to be in this list. Tom especially tried to close out all of his active projects before he left as the project lead, and Jonathan obviously does not only do merge commits, but also other things as well. Then Sebastian is extremely prolific here, and I think most of this was GRC stuff, and that was something we really, really needed. I think, GRC, I think we all agree is sort of, if GRC looks bad, all of GNU Radio looks bad. But then we have like Yuri and Bastian as well, and I like that as well, because I've never even met Yuri. I don't know who he is personally, but he's the kind of guy, he sort of pipes up on the mailing list and says like, this annoys me, I want to fix it, and then he just submits a pull request. And Bastian, of course, most of us know for various reasons, and he's sort of the same philosophy. Like, something's wrong, I'm just gonna go out and fix it. So I think we have a nice mix here, and we've always had that, and I think that tells a good story. Now, why have the commits gone down? There's many reasons, and I think one of them is that I think if we count total commits overall out of tree project, it's probably like maybe even gone up. I don't know, there's no way of knowing, but we have a lot of out of tree projects, and that's, I think, one of the reasons this is becoming more popular is because last year we launched Tigran and PyBombs 2, and I think it's just gotten a lot more easier to have those. And one thing that is a little bit sad, but also explains a smaller number of commits, we didn't actually have a Hackfest, and during Hackfest we were always very active, and I would say a Hackfest would at least add another 100 commits. I'm not even exaggerating, like a week-long Hackfest. Who's using GNU Radio? Academics are, for example. So I usually punch in GNU Radio into Google Scholar and then see what came up during the year. So it was 2,690 new publications this year. Last year it was 2,180. So publications in general tend to go up. So I always pull in these other numbers, Simulink, LabVIEW, and NS3 as sort of similar projects as comparison. And you would expect Simulink and LabVIEW to be larger numbers, and they are. All of these numbers have gone up, but they haven't gone down either, so that's good. And I think 2,000 something publications, I mentioned GNU Radio, is pretty massive. And of course, not only researchers use it, but also in teaching. There's been lots of activity from various groups to use GNU Radio more in academic background. And one thing that is particularly interesting is that a group of people, including NRAO, the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, have actually gotten funding to create teaching material, and they're going to base it on GNU Radio. And I think that's fantastic. The mailing list is very active. It's the central hub of all our activity. So Marcus compiled these graphs, and Marcus is also the one who's clearly the most active. And just looking at this graph, it's I mean, I just have to call him out here. Marcus with 600 and something emails, like more than twice as much as number 2. Surprisingly, myself, I did not expect that. It tapers off very quickly after that, but if you look at this list, it's still quite long, and towards the end, we still have tens of emails. So clearly, this would be nicer if this was more flat. Actually, if we look at it in DB mails, which I find hilarious, it looks a bit flatter, but the truth is this tapers off very quickly, but we do get a lot of traffic, and we do get a lot of people that do not only ask questions but also answer them. So I think that's great. I actually hadn't seen this slide yet. Marcus must have sneaked that in last minute. So hourly distribution of emails. Europeans don't sleep. Well, I guess if Marcus is the #1 European contributor and he has weird hours, then we get an odd skew in hourly distribution of emails. There we go, more stats. Okay, now last year and in the past, I always counted issues that were created and closed, etc. And this year it was just really impossible because we moved everything to GitHub. We currently have 77 open issues, which is not bad for a project our size. So in my, personally, I think fewer open issues is always better. One thing that is notable about these issues is that we imported all of them from Redmine, and then there's a lot I don't think people have actually looked at in the past. If we had a Hackfest, which was meant to specifically close out issues, I think we could probably close out half of them very, very quickly. So that's not bad. And as usual, I always like to pull up this website, OpenHub, which is sort of an auto-generated project description thing, service. It shows, for example, lines of code, and this is something I always find very telling. If I scroll down here, you will see lines of code by language. 39% of our code is XML. So if you just pull Git, and then 39% will be XML. And last year, this was actually 32%. So, most of it is obviously XML, C++, and Python. But the fact that XML is the vast majority is, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know. And then we are planning to go for a different approach with YAML. So this might actually change. And so lines of code have usually gone up. So there's cases where it goes down, like here. I don't know what happened. I think when we removed folk, it would have gone down. But I think as we're sort of getting more stable and more features are going into out-of-tree modules, we might actually see a reduction in lines of code, and I think that's a good thing. The overall activity has always gone up on average. So I'm sorry, I'm sort of hovering over the graph, but you can see on average these graphs go up, and we have a lot of committers, contributors. So even if the actual number of commits per time has gone down, we're still a very active community. And I don't think, and it's not just I'm saying that to make myself feel good. Like this automated report will back me up here. We have decreasing commits, but we have a well-established mature code base, is what they say, and a very large development team. So this is these are the stats that are generated by this website. And we had 5 releases and 4 fork releases. There were years where we had lots more releases, but this is sort of indicative of us coming into sort of a stable rhythm. Also, we did not have a next release or anything. It was all 3.7. So this was sort of a very, very stable year in terms of development, I think we can say. And then, of course, releases used to be handled by Jonathan are now handled by Nathan. It's also changed. A lot of things change technically, though, as they always do. So a lot of stuff on the GRC side, and actually, I think Sebastian's on the call now. Maybe you can add to that. But we have the digital communications, like the packet modem stuff that Tom Roeder worked on is in there. Qt5, we are removing lots of code, which I'm always happy about, as I said earlier. We removed the single-threaded scheduler, for example. ZMQ is getting better, and PyBombs is getting better, and our live SDR is also getting better. Sebastian, as the top contributor and main GRC guy, can you comment quickly on the main GRC changes?
Yes. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yep, sound great.
Well, so I guess the slides says it all pretty much. The GTK3 port is well on the way. I've actually handed that off to Seth mainly, and I'm focusing on YAML and Python 3. Python 3 is actually working right now. I fired up GRC in Python 3. Can't do anything with it because radio is missing. But other than that, I have a full GRC with YAML stuff loading. There's still lots and pieces I had to ignore for a moment, and I'm now slowly in the process of fixing these things. So we'll get there.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And as I said earlier, I think GRC has a special role, not only technically, but also on the representation, in its role as a representative tool. So all very excited about that.
Martin?
Yeah. Yes?
Yeah. I just wanted to comment before you moved on. That first line item is a significant gating item for everything else for 3.8. Once that gets merged back in, I think all of our major dependency changes will have been done, and we'll be able to get a lot of people to start using Next and finish out this release. So this integration of the first bullet here, I think, will be happening fairly soon. And we'll open the door for all the rest of the things.
Yeah, thanks for that comment. Okay, so the conference, like every year since I've been doing the slides, we had a bigger conference, and I think also a better conference in some ways. And this conference in Boulder, Colorado was just fantastic. A record number of attendees, sold out. Better quality in terms of conference organization, although the last ones were already very, very good. It's just that we sort of learned things along the way. And for example, now we have all the talks in high quality on YouTube. We had the hacking challenge, and we have technical proceedings published, which you can download papers. Actually, I really, really enjoyed this conference. It was different. It was bigger. It was, I think, better. And that's saying a lot, because I really thought the last year's conference that sort of knocked it off. But very, very happy about that. Quick shout out to Ben, who did most of the work. But many other people also made this possible. And I think I said earlier, we have less commits, and I don't feel too bad about that. And that's one of the reasons is we have the new foundation and the new org structure, and the conference is going so strong. These are all pointers to a very strong and active community, and that's sort of the most important thing. So conference is good, means everything's good.
There's 51 recorded talks in the GRCon 16 playlist in our YouTube account.
Yeah, so who needs Netflix?
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and the quality is really good. Like, go to some other conference and record 51 talks, and you will have a smaller percentage of enjoyable presentations. I guarantee you that. Yeah, but honest, like, little low side is we did not have a Hackfest in 2016. There were a couple of reasons for that. One of them was that some various Hackfests were sort of starting to form and then just didn't happen. So that sort of blocked, I think, some of our attention. And if just no one would have said there's a Hackfest, then we might have created one. But there were people saying they would host the Hackfest and then didn't, for various reasons. I'm not trying to point fingers or blame anyone. Bottom line is we did not have a Hackfest, and we would like to have one in 2017. If you're interested in hosting a Hackfest, then please let us know. And people already have reached out to us. Sometimes we have like very motivated people suggesting Hackfest, and then there's something that is difficult. For example, it's on a location where foreigners can't go. I mean, non-US citizens, so including myself here. Maybe it's just in an awkward location, or it's just an awkward time frame. But that we do not want to discourage people from contacting us about Hackfests. And I think if you, for example, universities can profit from having a Hackfest. First of all, it's low overhead. You just need to provide location and make sure there's internet and all of that. But if you, for example, if you're a university lab and you're hosting a Hackfest, and that's an opportunity to expose your students, for example, to GNU developers, and might give you a boost in getting your GNU development going. So no Hackfest in 2016, but let's not get too sad about that, and just we'll have them in 2017 again. Yeah, Summer of Code is also something that was running again. So in 2015, if you remember, we were not actually accepted into the GSOC program. This year we were, because we had an excellent list of ideas. And unfortunately, one of the students dropped out very soon because he got sick, and which was a shame. He had an excellent proposal, and we were all looking forward to his work. But the others stuck around, and particularly GR Inspector is an amazing toolbox that came out of this. And it's also the first out of tree module that is also officially part of the GNU Radio project. I would encourage people to check it out and yeah, take a look at it. And here's a couple of screenshots, but it's very cool. We also had the PyBombs GUI on the side, which is also released and usable, but is not yet sort of been merged into or folded into the official list of GNU Radio tools. Okay, the DARPA Grand Challenge was, Ben already talked about this earlier. So Paul Tillman talked about this at GNUCon, so if you want to know all the details, just go and look at his presentation there. But I don't want to repeat everything about this, like this keeps popping up. I just want to emphasize that this is an excellent opportunity to show off GNU Radio and make money, because you can actually win a lot of money in this challenge. So first place, $2 million, is nothing to be sneezed at. There's another challenge, the Artwalk Vivado challenge. This is sort of an edits research and Xilinx thing. Technically, RFNOC is not GNU Radio, so why is this on this slide? Well, it's because RFNOC is, an FPGA framework that has been very well integrated into GNU Radio, and I would say currently GNU Radio is the easiest and most effective way to use it. And good usage of GNU Radio will make it more effective in RFNOC and vice versa. Not quite the 2 million, but still $10,000. And actually, the bar to participating is much lower. So I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're interested in FPGA development. So this is a project call, and we sort of stopped calling them developer calls and now call them project calls, because we do want not project discourage people from joining because it sounds too technical or too closed circle. Like this is supposed to be sort of a public service announcement. Some people call it the GNU Radio podcast. The point of this project call is to make everyone aware of what's going on, and that's why we're calling them project calls now. And we had one every month this year, except for the month of GNUCon, and then in November where we just forgot, which was embarrassing, but happens. But they're all on YouTube. You can all watch them, and as it turns out, people do watch them. So we have videos that have been watched over 100 times. This is nothing like Gangnam Style, but I'm still surprised and happy that there's so much interest and attention in these calls. Yeah, so the website was updated. I said earlier we had a lot of changes, and not all of them were technical or code-based related, and the website was one of them. Something that Ben mostly drove. We have a blog on the website which has slowly been filling up with very interesting articles, and it also just looks much nicer. We still have the Redmine thing going on in the back end, and we're slowly removing that. So the first thing that we removed from Redmine was the issue tracker. It was moved to GitHub. The wiki we will not move to GitHub. We will do something else with. But once that's gone, we will actually finally bury our Redmine installation and have a much simpler setup where it'll be the website for everything static content, and that's supposed to look nice, and that's sort of the marketing aspect of it. We will have a wiki, most likely based on MediaWiki, but the details of that are not yet decided. And then everything else is on GitHub. And for communication, we do not only have the mailing list, we also have Slack and IRC. So if you want to use one or the other, you won't feel left out, because the main channel, GNU Radio, is mirrored between both of those. Some people prefer Slack, some people prefer IRC. All ends up in the same place. Ben posted some website traffic stats. I don't actually know if this is good or bad, if this is like a lot. I don't have sort of comparisons. But I think 32,000 views in a month seems, I guess the users is the more accurate number,
yeah,
right?
so I guess, relative to like Reddit or Twitter, obviously, this is
Sure.
this is not a drop in a bucket, but it represents actually a pretty steadily increasing amount of traffic to all aspects of the site, really, everything from the blog post to how do I download GNU Radio and how do I get started and everything else. So I think we're seeing growth in the website traffic in line with growth in project usage and interest.
Cool. That's it. So last call of the year. I think a couple of people are heading out, even will be on vacation soon. And that usually means more traffic in the GNU Radio chat channels when people have less work and then just want to talk about radio and SDR. So I would like to thank everyone who is involved in the project in any way, even with, answering emails, posting bug reports, submitting code, obviously, working on the website, on the conference, helping with material like marketing material or I don't know, anything like that, or just helping us in organizational matters. Anyone even people who just use it and sort of talk about it, that's already huge. I'd like to thank all of you. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I'm very happy with the state of GNU Radio, and if all the things that we have on our to-do list happen next year, it'll actually be a huge technical bump as well as an organizational one. So we have I assume 3.8 will be released next year. We haven't really even talked about that much in this presentation, but that's going to be a major change, and I think we're well set up to do that. Okay. Thanks, everyone. So that's the end of the call, really, unless someone has something they want to bring up last minute. Whoa. Okay, doesn't sound like it. Well then, thanks everyone for joining the call, and this will be posted on YouTube as usual, and see you in IRC, Slack, and definitely next year for the next year's project call. Goodbye.